There's Harry's Mercury. What motor is that, Harry?
It's a Mercury Mark 10A.
Oh, Mark 10A. Beautiful.
59.
Excellent.
Explain to Will how the gear shift works, Harry.
I'm taking it in.
Hey, what do you say, Ron? How are you? Good. That's a lovely boat. Bless you.
Vesselberg running a Mercury! Hey!
Here we are on the beautiful Merrimack River with the 1959 Mark 10A that belongs to my son Harry. And Harry here has about 16 of these things sitting in his shop all apart and has yet to go for a spin, so I thought it would be fun to take him out for a ride, let him try one out for real.
Yeah.
Would you like to take over?
I would like to drive it. All right.
So you push it down, and then when it hits the stop, you push the button and gently turn it into the neutral. And if you go too far, it'll go into reverse, and you speed up in reverse.
Yeah.
And then you got to push the button again to go back into neutral and forward.
Interesting. I don't know if I have one of those that has a button. I don't think I have one.
The earliest ones didn't have a button, and then they changed how the button works. Sometimes you have to push the button, sometimes it automatically, I think the later versions were, it automatically sort of locked itself in neutral, so if you panicked and you were, moving the throttle, it would go into neutral and you wouldn't end up on top of the dock.
Okay.
It's a serious problem with this design. We're having to push this button. I don't really care for
So
that.
what year did you say this one was?
This is a 1959 model. This motor, you idle it down, and then it has this, what's called a trolling lever, which sort of like a secondary idle.
Yeah.
And it really, I have to say, it does run very well. So you can idle it right down using the trolling lever, and then for regular operation, it's supposed to be sort of in the middle.
Yeah.
So let's take a look here in my bag. Tricks. I want to talk a little bit more about the fabulous Mark 10A. Here we have the 1961 AOMCI.
What is that?
This is a 1961 AOMCI, so this gives us a lot of data
Oh, okay.
on outboard motors. So in 1961, we'll talk a little bit more about the Mark 10A here if we're on film. This motor cost a whopping $310 brand new.
I'll buy it.
59.
I'll buy it.
By 1961, the trade-in value, average trade-in value on this very motor would have been $156. So roughly half of its brand new price.
Yeah.
The AOMCI lists not only the original factory prices and model numbers and what the trade-in value was, but it also has a section that has data on each of the motors too. Very handy little book to have.
That sounds like I should get one of those books.
I find these very useful. They cover about 10 years, so this 1961 book would cover back to 1951. And it has a lot of information. For example, the bore and stroke, cubic inch displacement, point gap, spark plug gap, mixture, what the horsepower developed at what RPM. So looking up Mercury's 1959, the Mark 10A was an 18.5 cubic inch motor with 2 cylinders. Original spark plug was a J7J. They made these up into the 1980s, but I found that as basically by the early 70s, they stopped including a lot of the good information that was in them. But the ones from the 50s are really fabulous reference guides.
All right.
There's a lot of great information in the front of the book too that's just interesting to read through about the percentage of horsepower motors sold. So for example, the 10 to 16 horsepower outboard class was the largest sold in like 1957, but then by the early 1960s, higher horsepower motors in the 50 horsepower and up class were the largest segment of the outboard sold. So a lot of good data in there. It's just kind of fun if you're really into old outboards.
Yeah, that's really cool. How's it running, Art? How's it running?
That's scary.
We got.
Hey,
What was our top
I don't know that I want to be seen.
You're gonna leave it here?
hey, Harry.
Yeah.
Does it run?
Yes.
Runs good?
Dad, what was your top speed?
24.6.
24.6?